Hello everyone, welcome to Let's Crack UPSC CSE. My name is Pratik Nayak and आप सभी का स्वागत है इंडिया's largest learning platform के ऊपर. Very warm welcome to the learners and also सभी learners को मैं introduce करवाना चाहूँगा. We have got very esteemed guest with us, a very senior diplomat, Dr. Gauri Shankar Gupta sir. Sir, thank you very much for joining with us on the largest education platform. सर आपका स्वागत है ऑन दी लेट्स क्रैक यूपीएससी सीएसई.
सबसे पहले प्रतीक जी आपको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. मेरी को बड़ी खुशी हुई है कि आपने मेरे को इस प्लेटफॉर्म पे बुलाया, अनअकैडमी के प्लेटफॉर्म पे, एंड वी विल हैव अ चांस टुडे टू डिस्कस अबाउट द प्रिलिमिनरी एग्जामिनेशन फॉर सिविल सर्विसेज.
यस सर, थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर जॉइनिंग अस. आज हमारा सेशन होगा रिवीजन स्ट्रेटजी के ऊपर. लर्नर्स को थोड़ा बहुत सर के बारे में बता देता हूँ. सर हैज़ बीन अ करियर डिप्लोमेट एंड 1981 बैच से सर IFS से जुड़े हुए थे एंड ही हैज़ सर्व्ड एज एन एम्बेसडर टू मंगोलिया, हंगरी, बॉस्निया एंड हर्जगोविना, हाई कमिश्नर टू ट्रिनिडाड एंड टोबैगो, also Grenada, and deputy chief of mission to Belgium, Bangladesh, Bahrain, Mexico, and including UPSC एस्पिरेंट्स के लिए यूनेस्को जैसी संस्थाएं बहुत मैटर करती है. सर इनफैक्ट यूनेस्को के साथ भी इंडिया के डेप्यूटी परमानेंट रिप्रेजेंटेटिव रहे. अलॉन्ग विद दैट सर हैज़ अ इंटरेस्ट इन स्पिरिचुअल एंड एनवायरमेंटल इशूज़. ऑल्सो फॉरेन पॉलिसी तो उनका फोटे है ही, and he's been working as a guest lecturer in various institutions as well, sir. So sir, very much हम बहुत ही स्वागत करते हैं आपका सर. एंड आज हम लोग रिवीजन स्ट्रेटजी के बारे में डिस्कस करेंगे सर. प्रीलिम्स बहुत नज़दीक में है एंड स्टूडेंट्स एट टाइम्स गेट बॉग डाउन कि अभी 2-3 हार्डली अब पकड़ के चलिए कि 2 महीने से बीच का थोड़ा ट्रांजिशन टाइम बाकी है सर. प्लीज़ सर एक स्टार्टिंग इंसाइट आप देना चाहेंगे सर.
Thank you very much, Pratik ji, once again for your generous introduction. So let me also welcome all of you, the aspirants for the civil services. The civil services are the most coveted services of India. They provide you a constitutional status. They give you a direct role in the governance of India. And of course, they give you an opportunity to serve the poorest of the poor in the country in variety of fields. So it's a great opportunity and I'm very happy that you decided to appear for this examination. Now, for appearing for any examination, 3 things are very important. One is that you must have your morale high. You should not have any B plan. You should have only one plan, and the plan is to crack the examination. So the highest level of resolution inside is extremely important. That is the first requirement. The second requirement is that you have to work hard. There is no substitute for hard work. It can be smart in the sense that you analyze the previous experiences, you look at the previous papers, talk to the students who appeared in the past, talk to some of the people who have successfully completed the examination, and then prepare yourself accordingly. So that gives you smartness, but there is no substitute for hard work. You have to put in good hard work for the next few months if you want to crack the examination. The third thing is to go over the syllabus very carefully, not once but 2-3 times. Because I have seen many times that we do not read the syllabus properly, and sometimes we skip some of the important topics which are part of the syllabi. So I would suggest everyone to carefully go through the syllabi. I have some general idea of the syllabi here. As you know, there are 2 papers in the preliminary examination. The first paper, it's basically general knowledge, and this is what we call is 200 marks. It contains current affairs, Indian history, geography, Indian polity, governance, economic and social development, environment, and general sciences. And there are 100 questions in this paper. So you have to prepare all these subjects carefully. I would recommend you don't memorize the answers based on A, B, C, D. Don't do that. Try to go into the fundamentals of each of these issues. In current affairs, identify 30, 40 or 50 important current affairs which are now in vogue in national and international arena, and prepare the background of those 30, 40 or 50 current affairs so that any variation in the question which may be asked, you should be able to answer that. Go a little bit into the background. Just to give you an example, presently there is a situation of war between Ukraine and Russia. Now it would be useful to go into the background of this war, why it happened, what happened after the dissolution of Soviet Union, and what were the guarantees, how the NATO expansion happened, and what are the threats which Russia is feeling that it will create for the Federation of Russia. So all that has to be examined and then go into the current situation of the war, when it started, how it started, what things have happened. So that will give you a comprehensive overview. So similarly, I would suggest list out 30, 40 or 50 issues which are current. For example, environmental degradation. This is one of the current issue, but it is also one of the subjects in your preliminary examination. Now you should go into the history of environmental degradation. The current history actually starts from the first conference in 1972 in Stockholm, where first time the world got together to express its anguish over the deterioration in land, water, and air quality everywhere. And then a large number of conferences followed, including what we call the Rio Summit or the Earth Summit in 1992, and the document that followed, and what is COP, and what are these conferences, and what is UNFCCC. So all these you should go. It is not a complicated process. If you go into a particular comprehensive either book or the study material, you will find a brief history. Read the brief history, it clarifies your concept, and then you would be able to answer the questions properly. So that is one thing I would suggest, that list out 30 to 40 important issues of current affairs and go into the background of those and then prepare yourself. That is one issue. Second is, for example, Indian history, geography, Indian polity. That's not so complicated because you have a very precise syllabi. And in fact, there are very comprehensive books, even NCERT books are very useful for that. For the Indian polity, you should have a look at the Indian constitution, important provisions of the constitution, how the governance has worked since the independence of the country, the electoral process, the election commission, all these things. Right now we are having this election in 5 states. So the election process, how it happens. All these things would be very useful. But background has to be understood. What are the provisions in the constitution? What are the provisions in the election law? What is the status of the Election Commission of India? And what is the procedure of the political parties, how they are registered and how they file their nominations? So that will give you the background, and then you can go into the current affairs as well as what we call Indian polity. Geography is static, so it doesn't really change that much. You can go over, the Indian geography. Indian geography is very interesting. For example, India is one country which has the highest mountains, and then we have plains, and we have desert, and we have very big sea coast. You won't find many countries with that kind of geography. So all that clarifies, and we also have dense forest, and we have a large plateau. So I think it would be interesting to go into the specific aspects of Indian geography, history, polity, governance. Social and economic issues are very important, and these are variable issues. These you won't find a comprehensive study material on them because they keep changing, and everything cannot be covered in a format of a book. So you have to also look at them in the sense of general knowledge. How, for example, one economic newspaper or one economic magazine would be very useful to read. So I would recommend you to read at least either the Economic Times or Economic and Political Weekly. I think those will give you very profound knowledge on these issues. So identify some of these weeklies. Some of the YouTube recordings are also very useful. But on the economic front and social front, you have to read the newspapers carefully. Select one general newspaper and one economic newspaper, and you should go over that every single day. I think that would be very useful. Then environmental issues are very important. I think you should also look at the UNFCCC report. And the last report has just been released, the 5th report, the final version. It's available on the internet. It would be useful to go over briefly on that report to prepare yourself fully. So that is for the first paper, which is the most important one, because the second paper is only of qualifying nature. So the first paper where your scores will count to clear the examination and move to the main examination, you have to prepare these issues in a very comprehensive manner. And don't do what we call mugging or memorizing the answers. You should understand the issues fundamentally. Then in whatever variation the question is asked, you will be able to answer it with confidence. So that is very important. So far as the second paper is concerned, that is general studies. Now it is of qualifying nature. You need to get only 33% marks in that paper. And this is based, but that 33% is also important, because if you don't get that, then you disqualify completely from the examination. So don't take it completely, lightly. You have to understand that, and it has certain very good topics. For example, comprehension, communication skills, logic, reasoning, which will be very useful for you in the main examination as well as in the personality test later on. So don't take them very lightly, but you can give less time to this depending on your inherent knowledge on these issues. But primarily, you must be ready to at least secure 33% marks or more in this paper. So that is very, very important. There will be 80 questions in the second paper. And basically you have to they are mostly objective type questions. So you have to, select the best answer. Now, there may not be perfect answer in many cases. So you have to select the best out of the 4 or 5 options you get. So if you don't get a perfect answer, you select the best answer. The other important point for examination is time. You see, if you do not know a question, don't spend too much time on that question at that moment. You complete those questions which you are sure you know well. So you complete all those in one go, and then you spend time on those questions which you are not sure of, so that you do not, skip the questions which you are fully aware of. That is very, very important. The time management in the examination is extremely important. So I would suggest that first complete all those questions which you know well, and then go on those questions where you have certain doubts. So that is how you should manage your examinations.
Thank you very much, sir, for the brief insights. Hopefully this might have been beneficial surely for the candidates as well. Sir, there are certain queries with reference to the whole time management that you have said for. What I have observed in my brief teaching experience is that students tend to go deep into a certain questions and they take it as an ego कि ये तो मुझे करना ही है ऐसे. Say for example, in CSET paper, there are certain questions which are based on the maths and numericals and quantitative aptitude. And at times they will spend 7, 8, 10 minutes in a single 2.5 marks question, rather than they should have spent some other topics they would have read or completed 2, 3, 4 questions in that comprehension or reasoning wala thing. Sir, how will you advise the candidates regarding the same, ki how to overlook, because this exam is all about clearing. UPSC won't be getting or giving you some kind of reward or medal, even if you score 100 out of 100 or maximum things. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think this is a very important point. First of all, there is no question of ego in the examination. Everybody doesn't know everything. There is no perfection in this world. You can bring the wisest person and he also won't know everything. So there is no question of ego here. So first go over only those questions which you know. And as soon as you read the question, you immediately know this, I know this and I don't know this. So to begin with, for example, out of 80 questions in the second paper, you know 45 questions very well. You immediately, without spending time, you clear them. Then you come to the remaining 35 and spend time on each question depending on what you have. But there also you can do the grading. There are certain questions where you are not certain at all, leave them aside. There are certain questions where you have certain doubts, but you have some idea what could be. There you apply the best option possible. And the questions which you are absolutely not aware of, either you can skip them or you take them at the end. But time management is extremely important. Don't ever spend too much time on certain questions or few questions. At the end, then you will be rushing through and you will end up committing a lot of mistakes. And that should be avoided at all costs. I think in my personal view, I never faced a time crisis in any examination because I go through the entire paper. I do things which I know first. I mean, I did those things before and I knew them. I did them well. And then I came to the questions which I was either doubtful or not knowing so well. So I think that strategy has to be there for everybody. Don't take it as a challenge. Individual question is not a challenge. And you are not supposed to know everything. That is also true. The examination also doesn't expect you to know everything. And nobody knows everything, to be sure. I can assure you on that. I've met some of the wisest persons in the world and they also don't know everything. So don't have any feeling of inferiority complex on that, and there's no ego issue involved here. Please go by the practicality that what you can do. As in politics, they say politics is the art of the possible. Similarly, this examination is also the art of the possible. So you have to go into the what is possible first and then go to the other parts. So I would suggest, make a proper strategy even beforehand. And when you are, some of the old papers, you take them up and do them at home or in front of some of your colleague or a guide. And you look at the watch and manage your time. I think if you manage your time on 2-3 times, then you would be able to do that in the examination as well. So do a rehearsal at least 2 or 3 times based on the previous papers in the presence of an examiner or a colleague of yours, so that you know how to manage your time. I think that practice would be very, very helpful.
थैंक यू सर. एक तो टाइम में था और दूसरा द रिविजन पार्ट. ओके, बिकॉज वी हैव गॉट हार्डली 2.5 months to go for the prelims examination. So students at times get confused कि अभी इतना टाइम में कैसे प्रायोरिटाइज करेंगे, which subject to prioritize as well, because there are 8 subjects or 8 topics that are being listed and they are not sure कि what will be the weightage of history questions or economic questions. So how can we deal with that, or how to prioritize? Say for example, अभी revision करना है तो first we should go with polity or we should go with history or any some kind of mix match strategy that you would suggest, sir.
Okay. Now listen, first of all, 2.5 months is not less time. I would say it's enough time. In fact, 2.5 months in my view is more than sufficient. So you should remove that notion that you don't have time. If you put in, say, even 4 to 5 hours, which I suppose you can do, say 5 hours a day, for 2.5 months, you can cover all the subjects without any problem at all. So take this as a target that I will spend 5 hours a day and I will cover every subject in 2.5 months. Now let us take a practical example. current affairs. In 5 hours, I'm sure you can cover 4 to 5 current affairs topics fully. You can go into the background. 1 hour is more than enough to cover one current affair topic. And similarly, in 6 days, you can cover the entire current affairs topic. 30 topics to identify, you cover them fully. Then if you go into for example, Indian history, if you take a basic book which gives you an overview of the history, you are not going into the precise details at the preliminary examination because the questions are mainly objective type. So if you take the basic book, I think in about 10 days to 15 days, you can easily cover Indian history, even if you devote 2 hours a day on Indian history. And on the same time, you devote 2 hours on geography and 1 hour on Indian polity. So you are covering 3 subjects simultaneously. I think in 15 to 20 days, you can easily cover all the 3 subjects. Then you take the other 3 subjects in another 15 to 20 days. So that gives you approximately 1.5 months to 2 months. Then you are left with 15 days at the end. In the 15 days at the end, you have to revise them again. To go over very quickly, I would also suggest that while going through these books and notes, you should make your own notes. Because when you make your own notes, it actually helps in your memory process. When you write down, and those notes will also give you a chance to write down the important points, which you can revise later on before the examination in the last 15 days. So when you are jotting down the important events of the history, you jot them down in notebooks systematically, and then at the end, in the last 15 days, you revise that notebook, and you are ready for that. So I think 2.5 months is more than sufficient in my view. You don't need more than that. You don't need to have, the 5-year plans for preparing these subjects, because if you have a longer plan, you will become sloppy. Okay, we can do it tomorrow. There's a very good saying that a tourist who goes to, for example, visit Delhi, a person comes from USA to visit Delhi. In 3-4 days, he sees more Delhi than any one of us who has lived in Delhi would have seen Delhi. Like I live in Jaipur, I have not seen many parts of the Jaipur. A tourist who comes here in 3 days or 4 days, he is able to see everything in Jaipur, and he can brief me about Jaipur. So the same thing happens. The more the time you have, as per the law of stretch, you become very sloppy and you don't prepare properly. If you have less time, you are focused, you are motivated, and you give your best to prepare yourself. So don't stress the time. You don't need to have more than 2.5 months for this examination. So I will suggest the time is not less. Please be confident that this time gives you enough opportunity to prepare yourself properly with fundamentals. So don't have that doubt at all. But you need to have that resolution in yourself first, that I have to clear the examination. That focus has to be there. Let me give you, an example from our Indian epics. You have heard the name of Arjun. Arjuna was the disciple of Dronacharya. And at the end of their education, Dronacharya called all the students and took the examination. So he put a fish on the tree, and he wanted them to target the eye of the fish. So the first student came and he asked him, what are you seeing? He says, I see the earth and I see the sky and I see the tree. He says, you go away. The second student came and he says, what do you see? I see the tree and I see the fish on the tree and I see the eye. He says, you also go away. Then the Arjun comes and he says, what do you see on the tree? He says, I see only the eye of the fish, nothing else. And then say, yes, you are the right. You are the one who can hit it. So you have to see the eye of the fish. So you have to see only the preliminary examination, nothing else during that 2.5 months. Forget about everything else. If you want to succeed, you do this. If you do things half-heartedly, they will lead you nowhere. Half-heartedly means you can never succeed in any examination. So devote yourself fully with your mind, with your body, with your attention completely 2.5 hours and 2.5 months, and you will be absolutely successful. I have no doubt about it. But keep that focus. Focus on the eye of the fish, nowhere else. And eye of the fish here is the preliminary examination for civil service.
Right, sir. Sir, there is one more query is regarding the test. How should we mock test or some kind of test series? By the way, I like to appraise the learners as well. On Unacademy, we have started a Civil Services Championship test. That is the biggest prelim-based examination that is supposed to be conducted on 27th of March. So link is in the description box. I feel that you should appear for this examination because it will give you very good hands-on experience as well. Sir, I'd like to come back to you. I'd like to ask you is regarding the test series as well. So how should the students should approach the mock test as well? Because on Unacademy also we make sure key learners and the students do appear. And the thing is कि they get also at times demotivated कि sir mock test में भी मुझे marks नहीं आ रहे हैं. And what are the learnings from the mock test? Because it is being said कि practice hard so that on the day of judgment you'll be able to recon what you have practiced.
Okay, I think mock test is very important. As I said before, that you should do rehearsal 2-3 times. The mock test is actually gives you the overall environment of an examination. So don't take it as a mock test, take it as a real examination for yourself. If you take it as a mock test and take it lightly, then you are not going to succeed. You should take it as if you are appearing in the UPSC examination. That is how you should prepare for the mock test. And that will, give you all the skills that you need to clear the examination. That is the first part of it. The second part is that, for any examination, whether it is civil service or anything else, you have to have a strategy in your mind. What will be that strategy? I think you have time now to prepare that strategy. And this is what I would like to focus again. The first strategy should be go over the papers of the last 2-3 years. Look at them. Meet some people who have been in the examination, who have appeared in the examination, ask their experience, how they, passed or they failed, both the sides. Thirdly, go over once again the entire syllabi, because it is important. Many things we miss out. When you read a newspaper, you only pick up a few things. Even if you look at the front page of the newspaper, you will find that you only picked up a very small portion of the total news on the front page. The same thing applies to syllabi. You only pick up few things, you don't pick up all. So there's no harm in going over the syllabi again and again. And third is that, as I mentioned, don't ignore fundamentals. I always believe that if you know the fundamentals well, then you cannot fail in examination anywhere. That is the preparatory strategic part. Now you said that those people who fail in the mock, they feel completely demoralized. I think that is there. I would like to be little philosophical, and it's not philosophy, but it actually works. It works in life, and this is what what you call core message of Bhagavad Gita: Karmanyavadi karaste ma phalesu kadachan. That you have the ability and right to perform your action. You cannot control the outcome of that action. The outcome of the action is governed by multiple factors, and you have no control over them. If we could control the outcome of our action, then everybody would like to remain young. Nobody would like to become old in life. Everybody would like to become successful. Everybody would like to become powerful. Everybody would like to become rich. And then you will achieve them if you have the control over the outcome. But everybody wants all this, but they don't achieve all of this because we don't have control over the outcome. So I would suggest don't worry about the outcome now. Now you should concentrate on the action which you have to take. And whatever comes, you accept it. Don't regret whether you have failed or you scored low, you scored high. Don't regret or don't be over happy if you have come out with very good marks. Both the things are destructive in a way. So don't be overjoyed and don't underestimate yourself. And there are a lot of hidden qualities in the people. They come out under trial, under the conditions of test. There's a poem by Ramdhari Singh Dinkar in which he says, "Kham thok ठेल लेता नर जब पर्वत के जाते पांव उखड़, मानव जब जोर लगाता है पत्थर पानी बन जाता है। गुण बढ़े एक से एक प्रखर हैं छिपे मानवों के भीतर, मेहंदी में जैसे लाली हो वर्तिका बीच उजियाली हो." It's a longest poem. I can go further down, but the crux of the poem is that you have tremendous amount of qualities hidden in yourself, and those qualities come out in the time of crisis. जैसे मेहंदी को आप पीसते हैं ना, तो उसकी वो ललाई आती है, अदरवाइज तो ललाई नहीं आती। दीपक को जब जलाते हैं तब वो रोशनी करता नहीं तो नहीं आता। तो जलाना और पीसने का मतलब है कि आप क्राइसिस की सिचुएशन में होते हैं तो your qualities come out in the best possible way. So don't underestimate yourself. Everyone has qualities, and those qualities will come out very well when you are fully geared up and fully resolved to face a situation. So I would suggest don't be disheartened and don't underestimate yourself. There's no reason to be inferior. Don't be disappointed if you fail. Failure is part of life. Everybody doesn't succeed in life, and some people fail now, but then life is work in progress and they succeed very well. You look at some of the greatest people in the world, you find that they failed in examinations and then they become greatest film producers or greatest heroes in the films or the greatest billionaire in the world. So don't worry about that part. This is not the end of life. Life is a work in progress. So if you fail here, you will pass somewhere else and you will do very well. So don't be disappointed, I would suggest that. But put in your best efforts. That is the only way to move forward. If you do not put in your best effort, be assured that you cannot pass the examination. So forget about the outcome right now. Don't worry about outcome. What comes, comes. You are concentrating on the action. That this is what I have to prepare and this is what I have to do. So I would say, even in your dream, you should think about this examination. For the next few months, the focus is on the eye of the fish and nowhere else. Only on the preliminary examination. Don't go out, no partying, no wasting time here and there. All the time concentration on the examination. But it doesn't mean that you are reading all the time. No. After reading, you have to do meditate. It's important to meditate on what you have read. And that actually enables you to digest. When you eat the food is digested later on. It's not digested when you are eating. And that process inside the body makes it happen. Similarly, when you read certain things and you go over that, say you have read for 2 hours a book. Now you sit down for 10-15 minutes and go over what I read. That meditation, revising in your mind, will be absolutely fantastic. Then you will never forget those things which you have read in 2 hours. So just meditate over that. And while meditating, you can jot down the important points in your notebook, which you should always keep. Don't forget this habit of writing. These days, people don't write. They just, do on laptop and what's this, phones. That's not good. You have to write yourself. And that writing will help you memorize. Because the body is integrated whole. When you write, it also goes into your memory. So please keep this strategy, keep this focus, and keep this philosophy in mind that failure is part of life, it happens, and it should not dissuade you from, preparing yourself again.
Right, sir. So thank you very much, sir. So क्योंकि candidates have this query, sir test series में marks नहीं आ रहे, but as you have very rightly highlighted कि you need to keep on trying it and improvise each and every time. Very nicely articulated, sir, as well regarding the meditation aspect and psychological aspect as well. In between this revision times, students tend to exaggerate themselves on they'll try to push or exhaust themselves by studying like 16 hours 18 hours a day and then not taking breaks as well. So sir, even ये अभी 2.5 महीना है, we have got very brief period, but you said कि if we can manage time, we can actually pull it out in this effective way. What kind of break strategies that you can advocate to the learners, or how often they should take the breaks as well in between this learning phase?
I would not recommend you should read 15 or 18 hours. I would never recommend that. Because if you keep eating, you cannot digest it, you will vomit. So the digestion happens only when you eat in reasonable quantity. So I would suggest you should read or study only for say 6 hours maximum. And you should do 2 hours of meditation on what you have read. Meditate on that for 2 hours. I think that is more than sufficient. Because if you keep reading, you will get confused and your mind will get tired. You should also breathe fresh air, you should go for a walk. Don't forget that, because this is all physical process. Memory is physical. If you go for a walk, if you breathe fresh air, your memory becomes stronger. So in between, you should go out and take a short walk, go to a park, or if you like music, you listen to music for 5-10 minutes, and then come back and again sit down. So I won't recommend you to sit more than 2 to 3 hours at a stretch, and I won't recommend you to sit more than 6 hours of reading and 2 hours of meditating on that. I think that should be the strategy. 8 hours is more than enough in total. 2 hours of meditation and 6 hours of study. That is what I would suggest, but you have to, fix your priorities when you are reading. Don't read things which are not so relevant. In preliminary examination, you have to go on the not details, but on the basics. For example, they will say War of Panipat, in which year it was fought. Now you only don't have to go into the details of the war at that moment. You only have to go on the basics, who were the two sides of the war and when it was fought and what is the consequence. That's enough. So I would suggest that don't go into unnecessary details which are not needed for the examination at this stage. Sometimes you study things, you read things which are, I would say, not very useful from the focused examination point of view. But it does not mean that you have to memorize the answers. No, that is also not the case. You have to understand the subjects in a fundamental way. I don't know how to express it, but the best way to do it that you read a topic, you put 1-page summary on that topic that gives you the fundamentals. If you can't make that into a summary, then it means you have not understood the paper properly. I think you should be able to make a brief summary or important points out of it when you have done it. And these papers you can easily prepare with 6 hours of reading and 2 hours of meditation in 2.5 months easily. There's no problem at all. I don't see any reason why you can't do it. And I see the younger generation is very bright, they're talented, and they need to be focused. They're not very focused. They lack in discipline. So you have to have discipline. Discipline is very important. Focus and discipline is important. They are very talented. They are very bright in terms of their, what you call cerebral power. आपका मस्तिष्क, आपका जो मस्तिष्क की शक्ति है वो बहुत अच्छी है आजकल, लेकिन आपका जो कंसंट्रेशन है, आपका जो फोकस है और डिसिप्लिन है, उसमें कमी है. अनुशासन में और एकाग्रता में आपको थोड़ा ध्यान रखना पड़ेगा कि ये रोज पढ़ेंगे, फिर रोज 8 घंटे डिवोट करेंगे. नहीं कि आज 16 घंटे कर दिया, फिर 3 दिन आप छुट्टी कर दी, ऐसे नहीं होगा, ये संभव नहीं है, ऐसा नहीं कर सकते आप परीक्षा। आपको रोज आपको पार्टी भी स्किप करनी पड़ेगी, कोई फेस्टिवल है उसको भी स्किप करना पड़ेगा, आपको किसी का बर्थडे उसको भी स्किप करना पड़ेगा, ये सब चीजें तो आती रहेंगी जाती रहेंगी, बर्थडे फिर आ जाएगा अगले साल, एग्जामिनेशन तो बार बार नहीं आएगी, और इसमें एक बार आप निकल गए जीवन में। मैंने कई लोगों को बताया है, समझाया है अभी रिसेंटली, इसी एग्जामिनेशन का नहीं बट और कई एग्जामिनेशन जो हैं, और उन्होंने कईयों ने मेरी सलाह मानी है। मैंने उनको कहा कि आपको जैसे 2 साल का कोई सीए का एग्जाम दे रहा है, उसको मैंने कहा कि आपको 2 या 3 साल का पूरा फोकस्ड अटेंशन उसी पे डालना है, आपका पूरा जीवन, रेस्ट ऑफ द लाइफ इज श्योर, वो बिल्कुल सफल हो गए जीवन, आगे आपको नहीं करना पड़ेगा। अगर आप ये 3 साल बिगाड़ देंगे तो फिर पूरी जिंदगी आपके 50 साल जो है ना वो बिगड़ जाएंगे। तो आपको अगर इन 3 महीनों में फोकस रखेंगे और इन 3 महीनों में पूरी एकाग्रता से काम करेंगे तो आपका पूरा जीवन सुधर जाएगा आगे, इस चीज को ध्यान रखें आप। तो मैं तो ये कहूंगा कि एक्सेसिव नहीं, अति सर्वत्र वर्जते, ये कहते हैं, आपको बहुत ज्यादा पढ़ाई करेंगे तो भी आप कंफ्यूज हो जाएंगे। तो 12 घंटा 14 घंटा 16 घंटा जो करते हैं उनका आउटपुट और उनका डाइजेस्टिव पावर कम हो जाता है, तो वो वोमिट कर देते हैं फिर वापस। तो खाना उतना ही खाना चाहिए जितना आपका शरीर ग्रहण कर सके। तो उसी तरह से मैं आपको कहूंगा कि 6 घंटा पढ़ना, 2 घंटा मनन करना और थोड़ा सा घूमना फिरना, फ्रेश एयर लेना, और ये जरूरी है बीच बीच में ब्रेक लेना।
राइट सर। सर एक पार्टिंग क्वेश्चन है कैंडिडेट्स की तरफ से। लर्नर्स ये पूछ रहे हैं कि न्यूज़पेपर रीडिंग इज़ वेरी इंटीग्रल टू दिस होल प्रिपरेशन। तो उसमें एक क्वेरी आ रही है कि एडिटोरियल्स बहुत सारे आते हैं, ओपिनियंस आते हैं, कॉलम्स आते हैं, तो उसको क्या कब स्टॉप कर सकते हैं? कैन वी स्टॉप इट एट सर्टेन पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम और वी नीड टू कीप इट एज अ पार्ट ऑफ दिस प्रोसेस टिल द टाइम हम मेंस और फिर इंटरव्यू में भी अल्टीमेटली तो उसी से ही ओपिनियन बनेगा आपका। सो शेल वी
आपको सब एडिटोरियल्स और ओपिनियन पेजेस पढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं है, क्योंकि जितने एडिटोरियल्स और ओपिनियन पेजेस आएंगे उन व्यक्तियों की पर्सनल ओपिनियन है ये सारी की सारी। आपको एक इश्यू को फंडामेंटली समझना है। जैसे आपका यूक्रेन और रशिया का जो युद्ध है उसमें हर व्यक्ति के अलग अलग व्यूज होंगे, 50 एडिटोरियल पढ़ेंगे, 50 अलग तरह के व्यूज होंगे। आपको उसमें जाने की जरूरत नहीं है, आपको उसके फंडामेंटल्स में जाने की जरूरत है कि इसका युद्ध का कारण क्या है, ये हुआ क्यों, इसका बैकग्राउंड किससे लिंक्ड है, और उसको समझने के लिए आपको अनबायस्ड 2-3 ओपिनियन पेजेज या 2-3 एडिटोरियल्स काफी हैं। बाकी तो आप धीरे धीरे अलग अलग व्यू पॉइंट हैं लोगों के, उसमें उलझने से कोई मतलब नहीं है। जैसे आप टीवी पे डिबेट देखते हैं, हर आदमी का अपना व्यू पॉइंट होता है, वहां झगड़ा करने लगते हैं, उससे क्या मतलब है आपको? आपको तो इश्यू समझना है कि ये पर्टिकुलर इश्यू है, इस इश्यू के क्या क्या अलग अलग विभाग हैं, क्या एस्पेक्ट्स हैं जिनके ऊपर डिबेट चल रही है, आपको वो समझना है, उनकी ओपिनियन नहीं समझनी। तो ओपिनियन कॉलम्स में अननेसेसरीली बॉक डाउन होने की जरूरत नहीं है आपको। आपको इश्यू एक बार क्लियर हो गया तो आप छोटी सी ओपिनियन कॉलम सबके सब कोई पढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं है, क्योंकि हर व्यक्ति की अपनी ओपिनियन है अलग से।
राइट सर। सो होपफुली लर्नर्स गॉट द आइडिया कि एडिटोरियल्स होंगे, ओपिनियंस होंगे, यू नीड टू हैव योर ओन से, यू नीड टू गेट द क्रक्स आउट ऑफ दैट सर। सो
आपको अपनी ओपिनियन बनानी है एक्चुअली उस सब्जेक्ट को समझ के आपको अपनी ओपिनियन बनानी है, और जो मैं आपको कह रहा हूँ एक साइड में नोटबुक होगी, वो आपकी ओपिनियन होगी, उसमें आप इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट्स नोट करेंगे, तब आपका आगे बढ़ेगा। आपको दूसरे की ओपिनियन सिर्फ समझने के लिए चाहिए 1-2 बार, लेकिन उसमें उलझने के लिए नहीं।
थैंक यू वेरी मच सर। सर ने जैसे कि हम सबको बताया कि एक तो नोट्स बनाइए, कीप अ हैंडी रिविजन नोट आउट ऑफ द सब्जेक्ट्स, हैव लाइक नो वेरी क्लियर कट फोकस, अर्जुन बनिए और सीधा आई के ऊपर फोकस करिए, बुल्स आई या फिश आई जिसे भी आप माने। तीसरी पॉइंट लर्नर्स के लिए समराइज करना चाहेंगे वो है टेस्ट से नेगेटिव मत हो जाइए। टेस्ट इज़ अ प्रोसेस एंड ये इट्स अ पार्ट एंड पार्सल ऑफ दिस होल प्रिपरेशन जर्नी, इवन लाइफ एज वेल। सो कीप ट्राइंग एंड फोकस ऑन दैट एंड ट्राई टू इम्प्रोवाइज एवरी टाइम कि कहाँ कहाँ गलतियाँ हो रही है सर। सर एक पार्टिंग नोट एग्जाम डे के लिए व्हाट यू कैन शेयर विद द लर्नर्स एंड वी कैन रैप दिस सेशन अप एज वेल सर.
देखिए, एग्जाम डे के लिए कई लोग बड़े नर्वस हो जाते हैं, जैसे उनका जीवन दांव पे लगा हुआ है, इस तरह से वो नर्वस होके एग्जाम में जाते हैं. तो वो नर्वसनेस आने से आप एग्जाम में ज्यादा अच्छा परफॉर्म नहीं कर पाते. जो आपने समझा है वो भी कई बार भूल जाते हैं, उसमें उलझ जाते हैं. तो आपको सबसे पहले चीज तो एग्जाम में नॉर्मल कंडीशंस में जाना चाहिए. आपको किसी भी तरह की इमोशनली डाउन नहीं होना है. ये जीवन का एग्जाम नहीं है, ये सिर्फ एक छोटा सा एग्जाम है. जीवन बहुत बड़ी पाठशाला है, उसके आगे आपके 60, 70, 80 साल चलेंगे, तो उसमें और कई तरह के एग्जाम्स आएंगे. तो उसको ये समझिए नहीं कि ये मेरा फाइनल एग्जाम है जीवन का, ऐसा नहीं है कुछ भी. ये एक परीक्षा है, उसमें आप अपना बैलेंस मेंटेन करना ये बहुत जरूरी है. अपने आप को संतुलित रख के एग्जाम में जाना, पहली चीज. और दूसरी चीज, अपने आप को इंफीरियर नहीं महसूस करना है. आपको दूसरे लोगों से बात करेंगे, अरे उसको तो सब मेरे पता है, मेरे को पता नहीं, वो फीलिंग नहीं होनी चाहिए आप में. उसको कुछ पता है, कुछ आपको पता है, जो आपको पता है उसको पता नहीं है. ये संसार में ऐसा ही चलता है सब चीजें. और कोई भी आदमी संपूर्ण रूप से ज्ञानी न हुआ है न हो सकता है. ज्ञान एक अनंत भंडार है जिसको आप पूरी तरह से नहीं समझ सकते. तो ये फीलिंग इंफीरियरिटी की नहीं होनी चाहिए एग्जामिनेशन के टाइम में. जो मेरे को आता है मैं उसमें अच्छा से अच्छा करूँ. दूसरी चीज. तीसरी चीज, एग्जामिनेशन के समय आपको पहले ही पेपर को देख के अपना टाइम की प्लानिंग जरूर कर लेनी चाहिए इमीडिएटली. और वो क्वेश्चंस आप पहले अटेम्प्ट कर लें जो आपको अच्छी तरह से याद हैं, जिन पे आप श्योर हैं. और फिर जो टाइम बचता है वो उन प्रश्नों पे लगाएं जिनमें आपको डाउट है, संदेह है या आपको बिल्कुल नहीं आते. तो अगर ये 4 चीजें फॉलो कर लोगे, पहली चीज तो किसी भी तरह का नर्वसनेस नहीं होना चाहिए एग्जामिनेशन के दिन. इंफीरियरिटी कॉम्प्लेक्स नहीं होना चाहिए कि इसने ज्यादा तैयार किया है, मैंने कम किया है, ऐसा नहीं. तीसरी चीज, आपकी टाइम की प्लानिंग ठीक होनी चाहिए एग्जामिनेशन में बैठने के बाद. तो अगर ये 3 चीजें आप ढंग से कर लोगे, और एग्जामिनेशन में पहुंचने के पहले कम से कम आप आधा घंटा पहले पहुंचे. क्योंकि कई बार क्या होता है कि ट्रैफिक में आप फंस गए और रास्ते में स्ट्रेस हो गया, फिर आप पहुंचे 5 मिनट पहले, तो आपको स्ट्रेस की वजह से बड़ी दिक्कत हो जाती है, फिर आप बैलेंस खो बैठते हैं अपना. तो आप टाइम से काफी पहले पहुंचे जिससे आप शांति से वहां बैठे. आपको जरूरत हो तो आप अपनी वो जो एक नोटबुक आपने बनाई है वो ले जाए. समय बचेगा तो आप वहां रिवीजन कर सकते हैं. लेकिन पहले पहुंचना बहुत जरूरी है, क्योंकि समय पर नहीं पहुंचेंगे तो रास्ते में आपको अननेसेसरी स्ट्रेस होगा, और कई बार स्ट्रेस की वजह से एक्सीडेंट भी हो जाते हैं. ये सब चीजें ठीक नहीं है. तो आप काफी समय रख के पहुंचे वहां. मैं तो कहूंगा कि आप पौन घंटा या आधा घंटे पहले डेफिनेटली पहुंचे. तो ये करेंगे तो आपको कोई दिक्कत होगी नहीं.
राइट सर. होपफुली लर्नर्स को ये सेशन काफ़ी एनरिचिंग लगा होगा सर. थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर शेयरिंग योर इंसाइट्स एंड your opinions and ideas and your experience sir, and we are highly indebted to you for your experience sharing as well sir, है ना. So we'll keep looking for this type of sessions. Learner से मेरा अनुरोध ये होगा कि you can appear for the test series Unacademy Civil Service Championship जो 27th मार्च को है. इट्स अ लार्जेस्ट प्रीलिम बेस्ड एग्जामिनेशन. डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स में लिंक अवेलेबल है. In fact, we have got some fantastic offers running on. If you are planning to take on the subscription on Unacademy, you can take 1 year subscription. अभी आपकी ऑप्शनल का सब्सक्रिप्शन कॉम्बो पैकेज के अंदर अवेलेबल है. लिंक इज इन द डिस्क्रिप्शन. थैंक यू वेरी मच सर फॉर ज्वाइनिंग विथ अस एंड थैंक यू वेरी मच टू ऑल द लर्नर्स. जय हिंद and best wishes to everyone.
Thank you very much, and I wish all of you a wonderful examination. I'm sure you will succeed with flying colors. Yep. So don't have any doubt. Don't have doubt on yourself. Go with confidence and plan yourself, your strategy properly. Yep. Thank you very much and wish you all the best.